if I'm that important to you and I text you, you're not going to take a month to respond to my text, are you? Or you
No.
can, yeah. So I sometimes see that maybe I'm not on top of their list because no matter how busy you are,
Yeah.
no matter how busy you are, you could respond to a text message and say to somebody, hello, buddy, sorry, really, really tight for me
Mhm.
now. I will give you a call very soon. For
Yeah.
me, if I receive that text, I go like, fine, you've acknowledged it. But then there are some people who wouldn't acknowledge it, and then it drags on. And the person who always do the checking in, it gets to a time the person goes like, you know what, I've had enough. I'm not going to do this again. And then the friendship then dies.
Yeah. Sometimes we should also acknowledge that we may not necessarily agree on everything, and disagreement should rather strengthen the relationship. It should not, keep us apart. Disagreement, healthy
Yeah.
respect, and trying to value conversations and things like that. Because we may not necessarily be talking to each other every day.
Yeah.
But we should be honest, like you said, very open about reservations we have about A or B or
Yeah.
something like that.
Everyday people. Real talk, no filter.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Everyday People podcast. Welcome to episode 2. We are happy to do this again, and thanks everyone for your feedback and your comments on the first episode. And Ani, what was the feedback like from you?
Yeah, it's been amazing. I mean, I anticipated there will be, but I was really overwhelmed. And there are a lot of guys I've not heard from for years, and they were coming back to me. And some also have personal stories with respect to that to share. Unfortunately, some of them, like the issues of distance or relocation and things like that. Some of that had an impact on their own relationships and things like that. Some good, some
Yeah,
not so good. So, I mean, it was a topic that resonated with people
a lot
well.
of people. Yeah,
Exactly, and not relocation only from the perspective of moving abroad, but even
yeah,
from within your own country, changing regions, for example, was even an issue. One
yeah,
friend told me about how a work transfers somewhat really
yeah,
forced him to give up his job to meet with his wife because the company he was working with didn't have a branch there, and they were asking him whether or not choose one side of the business. So eventually, he had to let go and stay with his wife. But I don't think it turned out very well for them, and he's now into farming somewhere up north. So for him, he sees that as a blessing,
it's a blessing.
So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, like I said, the feedback has been
it's
amazing,
good.
and it
Yeah,
means that
yeah,
we're on to something amazing. So we just want
that's
to
good.
say thank you to everybody for taking time
Yeah,
of their busy schedule to listen to us. Yeah, so I'm very
yeah.
excited about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And thank you to everybody and your feedback. We really, really appreciate your feedback, and hopefully it will encourage us to do more. And yeah, so thank you once again very much. Yeah.
Yeah.
So once again, welcome to the Everyday People podcast. I'm your host, Elamimio Owusu, and I have with me same time again.
Yeah, same time and the same location again across the pond. I'm right here in Germany, and Mimi is right locked up in the UK. But thanks to technology, we will have a transparent and timeless conversation. And today we're talking about friendship, you know?
Yes, today we're talking about friendship and friendship through time, seasons, and distance. That is the topic today. And this I think this is a topic which is very close to home.
Exactly.
And we've been friends for over 30 years.
Yep.
Let's put that out there.
Yeah.
And I would say that during that 30 years, we wouldn't speak every day, or we
Yep.
wouldn't be on the phone with each other every day, but that friendship had always been tight. Yeah, there wouldn't be a time that you call or I would text for something, and then we'll just pick up from there. And I believe that most people have that friendship, but unfortunately too, most people don't have that friendship because, as we said, friendship is one of the most important relationships in life. However, it goes through a lot of challenges. So, in this episode, we want to dissect and then really have a deep conversation on this friendship, especially when that friendship is going through times and seasons and distance and everything. So, are you excited too about the
Yeah,
topic for today?
absolutely, I am. And you reminded me of that 30 years of that because I think when we did a promo and I was playing back, and I was
Yeah.
like, wow, that has been such a thing. But ironically, we haven't even seen ourselves in the flesh for more than 10 years.
Yeah.
But it's
I
like
think it's more than that. I
more
think the
than
last time I saw you was on my wedding day.
exactly,
That
yeah.
was the last time. So that was like 18 or 19 years ago.
Years ago, exactly,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
So we've
Wow.
never been in the
That's a
same
long time.
space. No, not at
Yeah.
all. So the question
But
is
that friendship, yeah, still there.
good.
Yeah.
So the question is, I mean, how did we? Let's start from that. Like, how did we
Yeah.
keep it going like this? Because I know that almost 20 years, people kind of fall off the cliff, unless they find themselves in the same space. But how did we get it going like this? I mean,
I think for us, as I said, I always said there's never been a time where I've texted you or I've called you and then you wouldn't maybe respond to me. And I think the same with me. Like anytime you go like, hi, Mimi, this, and then we get. But I think it all boils down to the individuals. And I think it's a two-way street, if I should say it that way.
yeah,
Just for instance, if you call and I don't text back, if you text and I don't respond, then there will be that thing.
yeah,
So you understand. So I believe that it takes two people to make the friendship work. Well, maybe as we're going to discuss, there'll be times in life, or maybe you're going through certain seasons in life when your friend wouldn't be available, or maybe their communication wouldn't be up to the level of yours. But that's when the hard work comes in. So yeah, I think it's hard work on both sides for it to have that longevity, if I should put it that way. But then at the end of the day, it has to come from both sides. Yeah.
Well, I think I agree with you. I think you
Yeah.
can't force friendship, and
No.
I think the thing, for example, is also that in as much as we grow, we go through phases and transitions. I mean, the people that we somewhat started with aren't the same people in our space because
Yeah.
your interests change on a lot of things.
Yeah.
Maybe age takes relocation is another one. You talk about even interest change. For
Interest,
example, like
yeah.
maybe growing up, you guys love to hang around and sit around the hood, or even not necessarily as area mates, but maybe even schoolmates. So maybe vacation, you guys will go to a vacation classes, or even not trying to sort of visit each other from across communities. But
Yeah.
gradually you realize that once you continue to grow and evolve, your interest in a lot of things change, and then
Yeah.
so when you meet, the kind of conversation you used to have maybe 5, 10 years
It
down
has changed.
has changed. You are
Yeah.
more involved in having conversations about different things, and if the two of you don't somewhat meet, you will not necessarily say, okay, let's go apart, but you realize that invariably you are somewhat separating from each other.
Yeah, you're
Right.
drifting apart,
Exactly.
isn't it?
You
Yeah.
drift apart, and
Yeah.
it becomes what it is. Yeah.
It's a yeah. Sorry to cut. It's a very good point that you made. It's talking about the growth. Yeah, I think growth is a very very good point that you made there, and I think between us, like with our friendship, one thing that I always say to people that never change with our friendship was that, I mean, you went over to go to an Ivy League school, you had your CNN awards, you were so popular on Joy, like you were literally a household name on Joy FM and in Ghana. But then I always say that, and I'll give you your flowers here. Even at that point, when you were on that high level, there wasn't a time that I would text you that you wouldn't respond to me. You understand? Maybe
Yeah.
at that time you were celebrating, you were up there, but you always like responded to me, or we had a chat. So I guess that sometimes when the growth happens, and maybe the person at that time that is higher, I think that's when the dynamics change, because maybe at that time you have your Joy FM friends, you were in a different league of your own, and I'm just Mimi, we'll finish UCC. So but then it didn't. That's what I'm saying. And you were I so called and say, hey, what's up, and that was it. So I guess that sometimes the dynamic change because one friend has there has been some sort of growth, and the other not sort of led behind, but not maybe in the same league. So I think that that also affects the friendship. But I don't know.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think I don't know, but I think for me, one of the things that thank you very much for your kind words, and I appreciate that.
I'll take my money later.
You're right. Yeah, but I think one of the things, and like you're saying, for example, there are a lot of people who meet me even now, and they're surprised the kind of person they see, and it's also because for me, like in as much as you're growing and you are evolving, you also appreciate the fact that you've had friends who know you better than what you are now. you know. And I would like to say something. Back in Tema, I share the same word with Akwesi Sapon. So we kind of virtually, and Akwesi Sapon is now with the BBC. Akwesi said something to me that really resonated with me. He said, when you are up there on the radio and you are very popular on the media and people know you, they don't come to you because of you, but they come to you because they hear you on the radio. Yeah. So for me, in my head, anytime I go back off the radio, you walk down the street and a lot of people don't even know you.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. There was one time I was there in the newsroom and they said, some people are looking for me. So I came out. So when I came out, people were standing in front of the reception, right? And these are elderly people, well respected and things like that. And they were like, and the front desk my friend Theo said, I need some people are looking for. So I went there and they were like, we are looking for Anil Sabute. And I said, it is me. They're like, Annie, nah, we're looking for Annie. They came back again. So the thing is, I walked past them and then they called me back. Yeah. They didn't know who I was. But they knew me because I was on the radio.
Yeah.
And it was my voice that they fell in love with, or maybe whatever I was doing. Okay. Now, so in that space, but there are people that I've known from St. Paul's like yourself and a lot of our mates through UCC who knew me for me even before I got into radio. Okay.
Yeah.
And we are there. So we may not necessarily be talking like before, but at the back of my mind, these people were always there.
Yeah.
So I didn't even allow that culture of, I'm here,
celebrating,
so this person is here, and things like that. Because look, thankfully in our own respective corners, we are all doing very well.
Exactly.
But it is just that maybe I'm on the radio, so everybody hears about me. So when you allow that kind of thing to enter your head, it becomes anything. But I also accept, for example, that within that same space, there are a lot of our friends who also move on to doing different things.
Yeah.
And you may not necessarily have the same relationship with them. The challenge will be then if you find yourself in the same space and you pretend not to know them. Then there are questions, because I've encountered a lot, where people see you and
they pretend that they
don't know you. There was I wouldn't mention the person's name, but we went to an event.
Name and shame.
There'll be war. So I had come. And when I came, I was coming through the back door. And my usual style, I came, just drop off. And I don't know whether the person was expecting that, because you are Joe, maybe you be cruising a Range Rover or something, right? So I was coming and I knew this person, and we've been together for a long time. You understand, with some friends. So I saw him and I walked to say hello to him.
Yeah.
And when I got there and I was approaching, extending my hand, he pretended like he was speaking on the phone.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but he was not talking on the phone, and I knew that.
That means he didn't want to speak to you.
Exactly. He was pretending like he was speaking on the phone. So I also read that and I quietly walked away. So just when I was about turning, I saw one of my colleagues at the event, and Anil Sabute. So the people he was standing with were like, that is Ani, my favorite guy. So the person's boss came and gave me a hug and said, Ani, I like you. You're a brilliant person. Then right there, I could see the person's face his jaw dropped.
Yeah.
And wanting to warm himself back into me. And in my head, I was like, no, he never respected me in that space. And that's the end. And for me, I completely cut the relationship off.
Yeah.
You understand what I mean? So for me, I've always, like you said, we may not necessarily be in the same space, but
we should remember
the good
Yeah,
old days
and
and,
yeah,
and keep the friendship active, you
and
know?
I totally agree. I know that I went to GIG and I have most of my mates that
Mm.
I went to GIG with. They are sort of the journalists in Ghana. And I could tell you for a fact that there are some that I sat in a class now.
Yeah.
Maybe even you see them on LinkedIn, you say hello, hi on there, and they just ignore you.
Yeah, yeah.
But then you remember that, oh, I sat in the class with this person. We sat in the same church row. We
Yeah, exactly.
literally went to eat together. But now, maybe because now they are the head of something and they don't want to sort of engage with you.
Mm.
And for me, that is fine. Yeah, I do respect people's growth. And I
Yeah.
always champion. I'm happy if I see that, oh, this is my friend I used to be in class with. I say, oh, so and so is my friend, and now they are da 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 da. And I'm happy to tell people
Yeah.
about it. But then what I find is that some of us too don't want to associate with others because maybe they are in a different league of their own, and I feel like, oh yeah, I just knew you in school, so I mean, I'm now okay. So yeah, I guess it happens, and I think when it happens that way, there's nothing that you can do. But I always say that if someone reaches out to you, it's just nice
Yeah.
to be nice back. Yeah, so that's what I totally agree. All
Yeah.
right. So if you just tune in, you are listening to the Everyday People podcast. We are happy you are here. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss an episode.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And today we are discussing friendship and the growth and the transition
And
and
the
everything that comes
challenges.
in between that. And like
Yeah.
we reminded you, myself and Mimi, we've been friends for more than 30 years. We're actually schoolmates and
Sat in the same class.
sat in the same class, had a lot of arguments.
Did we?
Did we have arguments?
I
No.
don't think I don't think I was a very calm person in
I think I was also very calm, you know.
No, you were not that calm, I remember.
I wasn't calm.
You were, but yeah.
I think-
I mean
I
there
think-
I mean there are a lot of stories that I can tell.
Okay.
About
Well, let's
it.
end that one here.
I think we should take a break here because I might reveal some secrets that it might be disastrous.
Okay, we'll be right back.
We'll be right back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good. So, welcome back to the Everyday People podcast. If these stories resonate with you, please share the podcast to help us reach more listeners. So, the point is today, the conversation is about friendship. Over to you.
Friendship through times, seasons, and distance.
Absolutely.
And we started by talking about friendship and when growth comes in and when you are not on the same level or with your friend and the challenges that comes with it. So now my next question I'm going to put is that what happens when there is distance? So we're going to talk about long distance friendship, which I think both of us or most people have experienced because for instance, I came to the UK at the age of 28. And before that time, I had my core friendship friends, yeah. But then I would say that being in the UK, I made some friends, right? And it's difficult to maintain that long distance friendship. Even though I have those friends, I think with time and the distance, it becomes a bit challenging.
Absolutely.
And I think distance can have a toll on it. And I'm not I'm ashamed to say, but some of my very good friends that I had in Ghana, we are not as close as we used to be.
Yeah.
In as much as we try, the communication is there. Thank God for WhatsApp and Zoom and Skype and all that. But I think in those days, well, years back, it was really difficult to communicate because you have to buy a card and call the person. Now it's easy. So, you came to Germany maybe 2 years ago. How has it been maintaining that friendship with that challenge of distance back home with your friends back home?
Well, I think like you said, I mean, like back in the day, we didn't have it like that, you know. So let me give you a clear cut example. You know, like once when at university, some of our friends moved abroad. Okay, so some went to the UK, some went to the US, others also went different places and things like that. So sometimes those we were even close with, because we didn't have platforms like WhatsApp as we have now and the Facebook at the time. It was hard for you to, and at the time, maybe some of us didn't even have a mobile phone. No, we were at the university, you had a chip, you were waiting for somebody
You
to
had
have
a
his phone speed,
Nokia.
then you can put your chip in and test a message and things like that. And you are testing, and you are thinking about how much of your data is going or your
Units.
credit, right? So we didn't have a lot of French that contact with some of them who moved abroad. But I think currently things have become a lot more
Easier.
convenient for all of us because there's a WhatsApp platform where either through old students union or
Yeah.
maybe interest groups, for example, where especially for me, like I like football, so there are people that I'm on platform with who discuss Arsenal or non-related
Yeah.
Arsenal issues. And then there's Facebook, for example, where a
Yeah.
lot of them are congregate. So you make a post, indirectly they come and they discuss, or it is your birthday, they come and they post messages and things like that. Or you make a post and they come under the thread and you have a conversation. So there's that kind of not planned but conversation from time to time where somebody even makes a comment on the school's platform, and then or friendship platform somebody can come and comment on. So we have that sort of thing. So for me it's like it hasn't changed much.
Yeah.
Just that sometimes there are people there too who are on the platform but they may not necessarily be active, and so silently you tend to forget about them up until maybe they come to mind and you're like, oh, let me check on this guy, make a test and say, oh, Charlie, how is everything? And say, oh, Charlie, day and
Yeah.
things like that. There are some who perpetually want to disengage, and I respect that for one or two reasons. So it's okay. I remember somewhere last year, one of our friends who lives in Canada, I've not heard from for years, and out of the blue, he called me because I wrote an article and he read and he was having a good laugh with his friend. And he said, "Oh, Anis, my friend, I'm going to call him." So he called me. When he called me, he was laughing. And I've known him from school, but post school, we've never spoken to each other for
Yeah.
over 15 years. But when he called me, like we've been speaking every day, because it's like there's something that the two of us, as soon as we engage, right,
Yeah.
it activates. And when he came, we had a good laugh. Then he was like, with the you. Then he just said something like jokingly. So there are people like that there, and then there are those who constantly on the platform you're engaging with. Even beyond the
Yeah.
platform, you test each other, you check up on each other, what's up, what is going on, and things like that.
Yeah.
One thing I also mentioned is also that for me, there are people that I was in the school with, but we weren't that French, weren't friends,
You were not close to them.
yeah, like they were kind of acquaintance and things like that. But today we become so close that I can be vulnerable to them,
Yeah.
and vice versa.
Yeah.
And then those that were so close weren't like that anymore. But there's a friendship, but I will not be so much open to have a conversation about, say, something that I think is very dear to me with those people. However, those people that I wasn't that close with, in this my dear age, we are so close that we talk almost every day, that sort of thing. So
Yeah.
those dynamics are there. So for me, it's like when those things happen, you see that
It changes,
it
isn't
changes
it?
the
And as
dynamics
you're
because
talking
of
about
various
yeah.
issues and reasons and things like that. So for me, it's like I'm still in touch with a lot of people. There are people that, for example, like I even knew when I was growing up and like doing the media and like you love to be friends with, and today you can have a conversation with and discuss
Yeah.
ideas, discuss even personal life. I'm going through this ABC. I need your advice and things. For example, through Facebook, I become friends with some people I used to hear on the radio as experts in different fields. One of them, for example, is a medical doctor, and this man is in his 80s now. And this is a man that when we were growing up, his name was all over the place. Mr. Rawlings, the former president of Ghana, will go somewhere and is there. And these are people that you never in your lifetime ever thought that, for
Yeah.
example, that you even get into their presence. Yeah. But then you wake
Yeah.
up, they can test you. And then
Yeah.
raise a topic and you guys will have a good laugh. So they have those like that. Then there are also our mates that you may not necessarily be so friendly with, but you meet and it's hi, hello, and you move on. So for me, if you find yourself in those spaces, what I will struggle to accept is the fact that I know you. We may not necessarily be close, but out of respect, we can acknowledge each other. Yeah. But when you see and you pretend like you don't know me, when one person is even making the effort, that's why I think it is difficult to
Yeah.
accept. Yeah.
But then, don't you think that when there is that long distance friendship,
Mm.
also, there is that emotional distance there because you are not there sometimes physically to see what's happening in their lives? Like maybe you are friends with somebody, um, fine, you might remember their birthdays, you might wish them a happy birthday, but because the person lives in Ghana and you live in Europe, you cannot attend those birthday parties. You cannot be there when they lose a family member.
Yeah.
So sometimes, and probably what I see is that long distance friendship also sort of creates an emotional distance between the two of you. Because if, let's say, I don't want to mention it, but everybody will know, everybody that listen knows my friends way back in UCC and all that.
Yeah.
Maybe if the way that we were close maybe in school, and now that I'm not in the country, if something, if there's something bothering her because I'm not there, I don't think I'll be the first person that she'll pick her phone to call me. You understand? Because sometimes the proximity also plays a role in that. Maybe that friend that is in church or that friend that is lives very close by will be the person that can rush in and help the person. So I also think that distance sometimes creates emotional distance between friendship. So in as much as that you try, maybe they'll give you a call one day, they will tell you everything that's happening in life. And I think the same with you also living abroad. It's not every time that you're going to pick your phone and call the person to say, oh, I had a bad day, blah blah blah. You would tell your neighbor or maybe a colleague at work, and then that will be it. So yeah, long distance friendship, it's a lot, but the challenges are a lot. But as we said in when we begin with, it depends on both of you, and you need to be intentional and both work at it. Otherwise, before you realize, a gap will be created, and then you will be sort of drifting apart slowly, slowly, slowly. That's
Well,
how I see that. Yeah.
well, I think I agree with you, and like you said, distance itself because it's like you're not in the presence of the person. So for example, but if we tend to find ourselves in the same space, for example, we can. I mean, you can walk by my house
Yeah.
unannounced. I could do same, but then like you are completely
In different
different
countries,
locations, time
time
difference, for
zone.
example. You don't even know what's going on with the person and things like that. So realize that maybe in a few couple of weeks, months, when you move, you'll be calling, But with time, you realize that gradually you guys are drifting apart, because you have something you want addressed immediately. The person may not necessarily be there. So for you, your next thing is to look for who is within the
Close,
jurisdiction that
yeah.
I can have a conversation with. And once you
Yeah.
have established that kind of connection with the person, whoever was there and is no more will not necessarily feature immediately when
Yeah. Will not be on your mind. It will not be
exactly,
the first person to call. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So
It's also
gradually
a
you realize you
factor.
are drifting apart, and
Yeah.
you will drift. You will not necessarily be out of touch, but you may not be
Emotionally
as close as you used to be,
to
because
be.
the distance itself has also emotionally disconnected the two of you, and then maybe if the two of you used to be more spiritual, pray for each other or whatever,
Yeah.
it may not necessarily be there because, let's hypothetically speaking, somebody is in Australia, you are in Ghana, for example. At the time
Different
that
time zones.
he is going to bed, you are not
You are
waking up.
getting.
You know what I mean? I will not have the time to say, let's do an online prayer meeting. Something we used to do together.
Yeah. It wouldn't be
So you realize
possible.
that gradually all these dynamics have changed. Oh, Charlie, I've seen this and I want to share with you and things like that. The person will not even respond because he's in bed and you're expecting him to have a conversation with you.
Yeah.
It will be extremely difficult to respect to that. So I think that, yeah, distance, it's
Yeah.
also impacts relationships across various fronts. So yeah, you are correct on that.
Oh wow.
You
This
have a, you
this
have, you have a personal experience to share with respect to that.
Yeah, I have a personal experience. As I said, yeah, I had a couple of very good friends, very close friends that maybe in university that I mean it was the friendship was tight, but it's not as it was when I was in Ghana. And yeah, sometimes I think about it and maybe I'll go like, oh, I should have done more, or maybe the person should have done more. But I think for me, I gave it all my best, but I think the element of distance sometimes put that burden, or the factor is something that you cannot ignore. So in as much as you try to communicate with each other maybe once a week, it comes to a time that that would sort of show. But then I always say that it takes two to tango. And in another breath, I've had friends, being a military wife in the UK.
Everyday people, real talk, no filter.
And this is the Everyday People's podcast. And like we said, you can subscribe and share the stories so that we'll build a community. And if you have personal stories to share too as well, you can reach out. You can reach out to us via our email as well, and then we'll put out a WhatsApp number as we go along. Okay, so you are telling me about a personal story.
Yeah, I'll tell you a story. So I said that we are talking about the elements of distance and how it affects friendship. And I said that yes, there are some friendship that I had in Ghana that is not as tight as it used to be when I was in Ghana. And even though maybe both parties did their best to make it that tight or maybe that close, I think distance played a lot. And for me, I think as a woman, emotionally, women connect emotionally. So sometimes if you are not the person that your friend will pick up their phone to call you the first time something happened, that means that drifting apart is there, which is fair enough. I think for me, I would accept that because that is life. But then in the same breath, I've had being I was just saying before we went on the commercial break that being a military wife and the fact that here in the UK, the trade of my husband, we moved every 2 years. I've also had the opportunity to make friends everywhere we move to. But then one of my closest friend in this country is a military wife, and we became friends for our very first posting. And we've been friends. And I tell you that I've known her since I gave birth. So more than 16 years. I mean, my son is 16. So you can imagine like more than 8. And we continue to be friends. But then I see is that both of us have been working hard towards it, because since we all moved from that area that we used to be for over 17 or 18 years ago, we still talk, we still do whatever we do to have to do, we still share things emotionally. And yeah, so it's hard work. And I always tell people that about that, my friend, I always say that I remember on her birthday a couple of years ago, I made the statement that we have to remain friends, because the day that we stop being friends, one of us will go to jail.
Okay.
And she knows
Okay.
herself. I'm not going to mention her name. I said,
Yeah.
please, we have to be friends forever, because the day that we stop being friends, one of us will go to jail. Because there has been so much over the 18 years or the
Yeah.
19 years that has gone between us. We've been there for each other emotionally, everything. So, yes, sometimes distance will be there, but the
Yeah.
friendship will be solid. But the
Absolutely.
other times, too, that unfortunately, it might not work as both wish to be. So I've had experience of both, and I'll say that, you know what, it is live. This is getting really interesting. Look, I think that we have so much to unpack in this topic,
Yeah.
and I believe we need to do a part two of it. What do you think?
Absolutely. I
Yeah,
think we really not even exhausted it.
we haven't at
We
all.
haven't really
So
exhausted much,
we
because
will need to
yeah,
do a part two. So
part two exactly.
yeah, surely
So
a part two of this to talk about, because there are a lot of aspects that we want to speak about. So thank you, listeners. Thank you, viewers, for tuning in once again to the Everyday People podcast, whilst we've been discussing about friendship. And we hope you enjoy it. We look forward to your feedback and your comments as well. I don't know if you have any closing words.
well, I just want to say thank you to them, and we are on the cusp of something amazing, and we expect that we'll build a community with their involvement, their feedback, and everything. So thank you very much. As the Germans would say, auf Wiedersehen, that is goodbye, but the British
All
people,
right.
bye.
Bye. See you next time.
See you next time. Good. Okay.
Everyday people, real talk, no filter.